Good morning, traders. So fairly calm conditions playing through. We are expecting Asia to open on a slightly firmer footing. In terms of headlines for people to get abreast of, we saw a very poor New York Fed manufacturing numbers that dropped 36 points. Very poor internals indeed. John Williams from the New York Fed talking about 50 basis point hikes for June. Market's very much on board with that. He talked about the idea of having pushing for real rates over the next year or so. I assume he's talking about 2-year tips, or he's talking about inflation-adjusted Fed funds. But again, his comments shouldn't really spur too much in the way of volatility. They didn't. If you have a look at fixed income, we've seen good buying in the sort of 5 to 7 year, the sort of belly of the curve. Yields were down about 5 basis points. We saw 10-year treasuries down a few basis points into 288. A little bit of move lower in break-even rates. So that's quite interesting, considering as one of the stories of the day has been what we've seen in energy. Nat gas has moved higher. We've seen WTI prices pushing firmly higher into 114 and above. They've made a higher high there. So energy is looking really good. Energy sector in the S&P has worked really well indeed. But generally speaking, if you have a look at the futures curve, you've seen a sharp backwardation playing through, a steepening of that front month really pushing higher. And if you have a look at the difference between 1 month and 8 month crude now, look at the spreads there, they're blowing up to about $16. So it's showing a real tightening of the market. So we've seen a higher playing through. One to watch. If you go into the FX markets, we've seen that in the petrocurrencies. Maybe not the NOK, which has been held back a little bit, but certainly the petrocurrencies such as the CAD has worked quite well. We've seen good buying in the Kiwi, the Aussie have all worked quite well as well. Now, equity markets in terms of lead haven't really given us too much to work with. We've seen tech in the US under a bit of pressure. The Nasdaq hasn't really done a lot. It tried to make a rally, it got sold back down. The tape on the S&P futures has been pretty messy, as you can see here. It's not really given much to work with. Now, as we go into the session ahead, of course, we are watching what happens with Fed speakers. We've got 5 different Fed speakers, including Jerome Powell. He sort of aligned himself with Mary Daly's comments last week. That could be something that could cause some volatility. We've got Aussie wages coming through in the early morning session. The market's looking for 2.5%. We've got 33 basis points priced into the Aussie rates curve. Will it justify that? So definitely something to watch.